All right, next question about the kind of the business side. It's kind of a transition into the gear side of things. So, and I think you need to be prepared for this. You need to be prepared because what if you win the lottery? What if you find, I don't know, $10,000 on the street? Well, you should see if it belongs to somebody. But let's say you win the lottery. Um, so you've got a bunch of money. What do you do? I want to do something with camera gear. I want to do something with photography. So, a great question. How do you approach that? Where do you start? Um, Two suggestions. Two? Well, there's a couple of suggestions. One would be at that point, once you have a budget, then talk to someone specific. I'm glad to be that resource if you want. But if you've got, let's say, $5,000, that gives you more options than if you have $1,000. Um, and knowing that what kind of photos you want to take, knowing what kind of will help inform what kind of camera you want. Knowing what your priorities are, is autofocus more important speed than, let's say, low light performance? Do I care about video? So asking all the questions about how you might use the camera, trying to get a camera you will grow into rather than grow out of. So the website I use for most of my kind of research around photography is B&H Photo. They're a very, very, very large camera store in New York City. There's another one called Adorama, also in New York City. Those are kind of the big dogs in photography. The nice thing about this is they're geared primarily towards photography. So the reviews are a little more photography oriented than, oh, I like the color of the camera that you might see sometimes on Amazon. Um, Plus, you won't get a box of rocks that I've heard people get sometimes when they order cameras from Amazon. Anyway, so just get started, poke around. Another way to decide what to do is go read some, watch videos on YouTube about cameras. Try and find photographers who are doing reviews of gear after they've had it for a couple months rather than the day it's launched. Because those reviews are really short and more feature oriented. Ooh, it does this, it does that. It's not like, ooh, when I'm using it, I like that it does this, but I don't like that it does that kind of stuff. Yeah. Think about the whole ecosystem of the camera you're using, which includes lenses and other accessories. Um, so if you're, yeah, so yeah, there's no right answer to this. The one and other thing to tell you is if you go buy a camera now and you buy a new camera that costs at least $500, there's no bad cameras. They're all good. It's a matter of what your feature priorities are. Just like when you go buy a car, same thing. Do you need all-wheel drive? Do you need navigation? Do you need a sunroof? Yeah, what's important to you? So, yeah, good luck with winning all that money, though. That's cool. Um, Next question is about gear. Favorite pieces of equipment besides camera and lenses. My absolute favorite, and it's kind of a lens, but it's not because it doesn't have any glass in it, is my extension tubes. And I've talked about these a bunch. Bang for the buck value. I've gotten the most value of this out of anything I bought for my camera gear because I love close up photos, and this lets me turn any lens into a close focus lens. And this set here from a company called Velo, I think was about $60, $70. The Fuji version of these is about $110, $120. Um, so yeah, this was quite a good value that I'm very, very happy with. The other thing that I like, I have tripods. I have a tripod problem. I like gadgety tripods. I have a cool tripod holding up my video camera there. I have this tripod that I've had for probably almost 20 years. I have a blue tripod. I have another tripod in my car. I have a lot of tripods. It's kind of like shoes. You can never, you have different tripods for different occasions. The other thing, that I found to be very, very helpful are camera bags. So I have different camera bags. I have my big bag that holds all my camera gear and a laptop. This is what when I go to class, this is what I have. And then I have a travel backpack bag for less stuff. I don't need a laptop, and I just need one or two lenses. And then I call this my event bag, this sling bag, which holds my stuff for like when I do weddings and things like that. 3 lenses, batteries, and all that stuff. So yeah, fun. What else was I gonna say? So yeah, fun stuff. Gear. A good entry level camera that I recommend. Do budgets matter? I don't have a specific camera I ever recommend necessarily, just because it's such a personal decision. Again, if you buy it, you got to start at about $500, probably even closer to $600 nowadays, depending on if there's a sale or not. What you look at Canon, look at Nikon, look at Sony, Panasonic, Fujifilm. Did I miss anybody? Olympus, I wouldn't maybe not go with right now because they just sold their camera business to somebody else, and I'm not sure if it's going to be around too much longer. But all the other ones, good shape. You'll probably find the most in the $500 to $600 range in Canon and Nikon, and they'll be their DSLRs. If you want mirrorless, you're going to probably be closer to $700-800, and then you have lots and lots and lots of options. Think about lenses. Think about what you want to do next. Think about your total budget. So yeah, all cameras, if you're taking photos in decent light with non-challenging subjects, they'll do about the same job. Kind of like, remember when I showed you in class, is it an iPhone photo or is it a camera photo? Quality of image wise, they're pretty doggone close. It's when you get to more challenging situations like darker places or fast moving subjects that phones or maybe some other lower end cameras can't do as well. So again, I'll have a whole list of some camera recommendations, entry level cameras from Canon, Nikon, Sony, I think is what I have in the list. Links to the B&H photo website. And I'll include, there's 2 local camera stores in Seattle area that are huge and been around a long time. Glazer's Camera in Seattle and Kenmore Camera up in Bothell. So good stuff. Next question, is the future of photography DSLR or mirrorless? I'm thinking mirrorless. I wouldn't have said that 7 years ago, but I think it's true now because here's the main reason why. More and more people are wanting their cameras to do photos and video. So they want to do stills and video. And mirrorless makes that easier. Yeah, because you don't have to, it's truly built, this is built more a mirrorless camera where you don't have the mirror like I do in my DSLR, my SLR back there. Is ready to go as a mirrorless camera. I mean, as a video camera, where a DSLR has to kind of transition to become a video camera internally. Other reasons, I think, somewhat marketing. You know, you can't, like, it's like in cars again. You can't go buy it's pretty hard to go buy a car with a manual transmission now because the market has said we don't want those anymore. We just want automatic transmissions. Also, it helps with fuel economy. Current automatic transmissions get better mileage than manual transmission. These are the mirrorless cameras can be a little smaller, and again, one of the things I think people, once they use it, that they really really like is they get the exposure preview in the viewfinder and on the back screen, so they're not guessing about exposure as much. So I think mirrorless. That's me. Partially, I'm biased because that's the system I'm currently using. All right, next question up we have is about night photography. What technical things do I need to know to take night photos? And I'm not real good at this, but I know a little bit enough to tell you. You're going to need a tripod. You're going to need a good sturdy tripod because you're going to be doing long exposures of anywhere from 2 to 30 seconds. You want a camera that is very technically good. By that I mean its ISO performance when you're at 6,000 or so is very low noise, which then tends to get you into a camera that's more expensive. And then you want lenses that let in a lot of light. So they have the large maximum aperture, which is a small number. So those tend to be more expensive lenses. So astrophotography, night photography of the sky, tends to be kind of expensive because the technical stuff is more complicated than just taking a picture in the middle of the afternoon on a sunny day. So, again, I would suggest for next step resources on this, go search for astrophotography on YouTube. There's a bunch of photographers. That's what they do almost all the time. And they'll have some great resources and tips for you. Books out there, articles, blogs, all sorts of ways to go find astro information. All right, portrait and street photography. So portrait photography, how do you figure out what's best for you? Posing, positioning. Again, this is something I'm not super strong at. I prefer when I'm doing portraits, at least, to be kind of candid, casual, just observing people. They're doing their thing. Although when I have done some portraits of students, it's amazing. Students will self pose. They will, they often know how to, to do their hands and motion their body. That's kind of a fashion style of photography that I'm not I enjoy it when, because it's kind of cool. I mean, it's neat when it works, but I prefer the storytelling kind of portraiture where I would maybe sit with hang out with somebody for a half a day and just observe their life and get some pictures of them doing their things that are part of their day to day. So posing, there's again YouTube. YouTube University is a great place to learn all this stuff. If you're not learning it at Highline College. So there's a ton of videos out there. Find some photographers you like that kind of speak to you and have a similar voice of the way they create photos and go about doing that. There's a lot of them on YouTube. A lot of them. Some really good stuff. Lots of good things to learn out there. Some really good tips for posing. The tip I'll share with you right now is don't do the driver's license photo. So this photo. So this actually, it's this. Don't do this. Here's your free tip for portrait posing. If you do nothing else, you do two things. You tilt a little bit, get to the side, so you angle, and then you get your forehead out and down, so you don't get this chin stuff here. See this? So you get your forehead out and down, and there's your pose, and you get a little smile. Anyway, and try not to make it look like you're in pain. So, one of the keys to portrait photography is good communication with the person you're taking a picture of. Let them know what you're doing. Be yourself. Be authentic. I tend to do dad jokes during portrait sessions, and some people like that. Most people do. They'll groan and then they'll get a genuine smile. Another tip for portrait photography is to have your camera in the burst mode. So you're taking a sequence of photos. There's something about a smile. So there's this little microsecond in a smile where everything lines up: the eyes, the face, the mouth, the cheeks. And if you wait to catch it with a click, it probably is gone. So if you're trying to catch a smile, that authentic smile moment, you need to be in that burst mode where you're rattling off a whole bunch of photos pretty quickly. Let's see what else, General. That's a good starting point. So YouTube, a couple starting things I gave you there. There you go. So some street photography question. So yeah, speaking of authentic and candid, people taking pictures of dogs pooping. So I'm going to tell you what the law is in America about street photography. Street photography is when you're out and about and you see people, they're in public, you're in public, and you take their picture. What's the law about that? The law in America says if someone's in public, they don't have an expectation of privacy anymore. So yes, you are legally allowed to take their photo, to go click and take their image. Um, should you? It's up to you. It's somewhat up to you, and it's up to the person you're taking a picture of. If it feels at all icky, obtrusive, intrusive, especially if you're taking, don't take pictures of other people's kids just without permission. It's just wrong. As a male, I think I need to be aware of, taking pictures of ladies, the females, just because my gender has done some stupid things. So that's the law. I don't need someone's permission if I can see them in a public space. But be a decent human being. Now, if I've taken their picture, maybe they noticed or didn't notice, they noticed, they went, then you just say thanks and you appreciate it. Now, if you want to use it commercially, that's where things get different. If I'm just using it for myself, I don't need their permission. If I want to, let's say I'm going to print a photo book and print 10,000 copies, then I need their permission. I need a model release, that's what the term is, for to have their permission to use their photo commercially. So it's always good to get a model release because then you can send them a photo and say, thank you for letting me take your photo. Here's what I took and the image I created, and I hope you love it. Thank you for the gift you gave me. So, yeah. Be a decent human being. That's where everything starts. Be a decent human being. All the other good stuff happens from there. Okay, so this next question. Taking photos of people. Everybody has a different comfort level with, doing this towards people, and think about when you've been on the other side. Most people are uncomfortable. So the main job of a portrait photographer is to get the person on the other end of the lens to be comfortable, to be relaxed, to be themselves. So you got to have conversation, you got to be talking. There's nothing worse than having someone do this for 30 seconds. That was only like 10 seconds and it's awkward already, right? So be in conversation. Ooh, that looks really good. Thanks for doing that. Move your head this way a little bit. Just be authentic, be yourself. If you're a quiet person, be your quiet self, but be communicative. If you're kind of loud like I tend to be that person, be authentic. Connect with the person on the other end of the lens. Take some practice. So get your friends and family to help you out. Take their photos. Bug them. Just keep bugging them. You need practice. The only way to get good at any kind of photography, especially portrait, is to practice. So bug your friends, bug your family, ask them to let you take their photos. And I don't mean just stand against the wall and click for 2 seconds, but let's go to the beach, let's spend a half an hour or an hour, and let's go take some photos. Yeah. So get your friends, get some practice, see what happens. What makes a good portrait shoot and which lenses are good for portrait? Any lens can be a portrait lens. I tend to like kind of more not headshots, but like a profile photo look. I like telephoto lenses for that. Wide angle lenses can be portrait lenses. But what makes a good portrait shoot? For me, what I like is when I catch a little something of the real person when I create the image. That they share something with me in the process, and that I'm able to capture it in my camera. So that's, again, part of the conversation. That is the communication you're having with them, hopefully a connection. It's awkward on the other side, so you're helping them feel less awkward. And in that moment, you're going to get a gift of a photo of that person that's a reflection of what they were doing right at that moment. Those are my kind of preferred portraits. Again, lenses for portraits, I generally prefer the more telephoto lenses. I do like those, but that's my personal preference. You will develop your own personal preferences as you keep doing these kind of things. there's yeah, there's no wrong ways to do these things, which is kind of fun in a lot of ways. So I think that is the last question. Yes, that is the last question in the batch of questions we had for today. So I hope there were some helpful answers here. If you want to explore more deeply, please feel free to send me an email, stop by the Zoom office hours. And glad to have more and more conversation. This is where I really enjoy teaching, is where I can answer and be hopefully directly helpful to things you would like to know. And again, the offer stands. If you have questions after class ends, pretty much forever, just send me a note. I'm glad to help you out. There's a number of students I'm in communication with off and on throughout the years. They have a quick question about photography. In fact, one just last week. So glad to do that. I hope that's helpful. I hope you are finding some answers and you've felt some growth in your photography this quarter, and that your journey in photography ahead is full of awesome adventures, great creativity, also good health, and just learning more about yourself. So, photography is a great gift. I hope you keep learning and enjoying it.